Are you recording? All right, I think you're recording. Let me see the recording.
Yeah, there's nothing. Wasn't By the Sea like bad?
Yeah, I still
It
recording.
was.
Okay. Yeah, there's nothing worth mentioning. When does Krisha come out?
All right, we're recording. I think I think I
Yay.
think what's happening is that YouTube is abandoning the create an event or something because that's what I was trying. I would like to schedule an event thing. That's what I was trying to do, but it wasn't working.
Okay.
But we're good now. All right, cool. All right, I'm gonna start now. Well, as soon as I get back to the box office thing. You guys good?
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm good.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Movie Backlot Podcast. My name is Steven. I have Alexander. I have Dylan. And this is our best movies of the year so far edition of the podcast. If you guys don't know, the Movie Backlot Podcast is a weekly talk show where we get together and discuss what happened in the world of movies, talk about what we saw, what's coming to Blu-ray, what's coming out this week. Just have a grand old discussion about movies. This week, we decided there's not a lot of news, so we're going to be doing the best of the year so far and also the worst of the year so far. We're going to try to keep it to a top 5 each. We're going to do honorable mentions and dishonorable mentions, and for worst, we're still very early, so we're going to keep it to a what was the worst movie you saw that year, and then dishonorable
So
mentions
far.
there. So far, of course. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great because I'm a Warriors fan and Kevin Durant decided to come here.
I was gonna trash you for some reason before this because that's whatever, but we're not gonna get into that. We'll get to that after the podcast. Alexander, after this.
Things are a little bittersweet here because this is my last time as a regular host.
You'll be back for the big shows though, the big events.
Yeah, I mean, if like the big events or if there's some bit of Godzilla news, you'll just pull me in.
Yeah, whenever there's like a big
Yeah.
casting for the main movie, you'll come back. So today's show is gonna be a bit different than our typical show. We're only gonna do box office numbers today. No big news. Some Pixar stuff that we don't really have much to say. Some Disney stuff that we don't have much to say. So we're gonna do box office numbers. What's coming out this week? Hop right into the best. For the best, are we gonna do round robin where it's like me, you, like that? Like we.
I think so.
Okay, that'll work.
Yeah, works for me.
And then after that, we'll say what was the worst movie you saw this year. I think me and Alexander are going to have the same one. I don't know. Maybe. Not sure. We'll find out.
We'll see.
We'll see. So pretty much.
Nobody else saw mine
Oh, really?
because you guys have standards.
Yeah, okay, okay. So pretty much, let's run down this box office real quick. Number one, Finding Dory, 41.9 million. Pretty expected. Surprisingly, The Legend of Tarzan made 38.1.
Keeps-
Shocked. Very shocked. The Purge election year made 30.9. Not shocked. I thought that movie was going to make closer to 40. Just because.
You know, I was actually surprised that movie didn't make number one, because it is kind of a horror movie, or at least number two.
Yeah, I expected it number two just because it is that kind of movie. But I guess people do like Tarzan. I mean, 38 million, so somehow. The BFG, people are calling it one of Spielberg's biggest letdowns for a box office weekend for this
Yep.
kind of film. It made 19 million. I don't know what its cost was. I had box office.
I think
knowledge
It
of
cost
cost
140
140 million to
Dear
make
Jesus.
on top of,
Yeah.
and then there's also marketing costs. So it's not going to turn a profit most likely, nor does it probably
No.
deserve to because it wasn't very good.
So that big friendly giant's not so big, huh?
Um,
Which I kind of blame
It's a
the
big
fact that they
bomb.
call it. Well, it is that. I kind of blame the fact that they decided to call it BFG instead of Big Friendly Giant because a lot of people. There were a lot of people who didn't even know what the movie was.
yeah, they should. I
Like,
would have. I think they
BFG,
should have.
what does that stand for?
They should have called it The Big Friendly Giant. But also, Spielberg's my favorite director, and then this movie didn't really. I was kind of lukewarm excited for it just because it is like his foray back into like this kind of stuff. But this and Tintin were both to me, marketing wise, not appealing. I enjoyed Tintin, and I'm sure I'll enjoy this movie. Most people say it's okay. It's very kiddie friendly, very the book. So I don't know. And then we have Independence Day Resurgence, which made 16.5 million. I mean, I actually saw this movie last
What'd
week.
you think?
Oh, I saw it too.
This might appear later in my list. Just letting you guys know. Just
Okay.
think of which side it's gonna be on. It ain't the best.
I think I know
Oh,
which
I
side. it'll
wonder
be.
which one. I
Um.
wonder which side it's gonna be on.
Yeah.
No,
So
wait. So wait. 1 second before we go on. Dylan, did you bother to see this? Because I know you hate the first one.
I did. I saw it mainly because I heard how awful it was, and I was like, "Oh damn, this might be something truly special to witness if it's as bad as I hear." And is the acting pretty terrible? Yes. Are the special effects sort of impressive? Yeah. There's a lot of stuff on the screen. Um, is Roland Emmerich a terrible director? Without a doubt. But did I have fun watching this movie? I did, because I just laughed at how terrible everything was put together. And this is the closest thing to a video game movie I have ever seen. There's the opening cutscenes that set the stage. There's the redundant, like being chased by
Okay,
stuff and going
first,
through waves of
that's
enemy.
a
And then
bad-
there's the boss
a
battle.
bad video game movie because.
Oh, yeah.
A bad video game because most video games are actually pretty good, or some of them.
Yeah, I was just saying that this just
level
felt
design.
like I was watching like a shitty Let's Play with like discount Will Smith throwing out quips, and I actually thought that Liam Hemsworth wasn't like terrible. I was like, oh, I kind of like him in this movie, and Jeff Goldblum was nice, and I don't even like the first movie like at all.
See,
So I
that's
saw
why
this
I
one,
think
and I
you
was
don't
like,
hate it as
it's
much as other
it's
people.
whatever. It's like I honestly don't understand. Okay, so someone doesn't like the first movie, which I guess is kind of heresy to say because we're recording on the actual Independence Day.
Independence Day.
Yeah, but I don't like that movie at all. So I was like,
Right.
what were people expecting? Were they expecting something like quality? This was
That's-
exactly
that's
what I
what
expected coming into
That's
this
what I
movie.
was thinking. Well, okay. I'll speak as someone who likes the first Independence Day for its cheesy quality. Even going in, when I heard people say this is absolutely atrocious, it's the worst movie of the year, I'm like, were you people expecting something great? The first Independence Day wasn't even that great to begin with. I like it, but come on.
No, this is horseshit from both of you guys. The first
Wait.
The first Independence Day
Uh,
is good, cheesy fun, and
That's what I
everybody,
said.
but like, it's a good movie though because it's so stupid. But I will say this: the reason, I mean, I'll get into it later, but the reason that this movie, The Resurgence, didn't work is because if you actually enjoyed the first one and actually liked some of the lore from the first one, like the alien lore,
Oh,
there is
It
lore.
gets shit on so
There is
bad.
lore in the first one. There are cool things and how there's the aliens are inside the other alien. That's all cool. Like they have the suits and everything. That's all awesome. And actual characters, this thing ruins characters from the first one and the lore from the first one. And I'll get more into it later.
Yeah, why don't we?
But
I'm just gonna be honest. This movie may have had the most abrupt change of scenery I have ever seen when it randomly cuts to that car of kids
oh yeah, and then the
out of nowhere.
what
I
happened?
was like,
What happens?
it
with
was
the
like
kids?
a solid hour into the movie. They just cut to an entirely new storyline that was not established at all. And I was like, I have no idea what's going on right
Yeah, I
now.
remember
I will
that.
say that
Let's-
something
what
that
we-
happens with the kids later is just complete horseshit, but like just
Yeah,
complete.
we'll
I
get
kinda
into
like
that later.
Okay, and then Legend of Tarzan. So, Dylan, you saw it, right?
I did.
Okay, so I wanted to see it. I was the most hyped out of all of us because I thought it was one of the better trailers of the year. But I was worried.
I was
because-
excited.
but I was worried because the trailer made it seem like it was after, and I was like, no, they're not gonna do that. They're not gonna go after. Who would go after? No, the movie's after.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I heard some
Well,
of the
to
CGI
answer-
is bad. I heard Christoph Waltz is actually bad in this, which he's never really bad. He's just playing what he
Spectre!
always- something like that. I've heard it's like he's just not doing much. I heard Margot Robbie and the Tarzan himself, Skarsgård, don't have
Alexander
any chemistry.
Skarsgård.
There's a white savior type vibe to it. I've heard a lot of bad things about this movie. But what upsets me is that Tarzan isn't something that we've gotten a lot. Like
We got him a few years ago.
No,
I
okay.
sat through
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you're the
shitty
only
ass-
one who saw it.
No, I'm talking like, okay, in live action form, it's been ages. In cartoon form, quality wise, when did Tarzan, the Disney one, come out? 99, 2000?
99.
99,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
So
99.
that's like 16 years, right? How many kids know the Tarzan lore? Not many. Why don't you do that? And then they didn't do that. And that's
Right.
why this movie's getting shitted on
Oh,
for plenty
yeah.
of other reasons.
So
Well, you know,
I mean,
It's-
I'm
it's
gonna
kind of
see
mixed
it
with-
as well. I don't have that like love for the book. I don't even think I've read the book, like the little kids book. So I don't
Yeah,
know if
it's-
that's
I think that
gonna
might-
affect.
that might be a detriment because I feel like if you've read the book, it's a very like faithful adaptation of the book. So the pacing issues won't like annoy you.
Well,
Well,
BFG is one of Roald Dahl's least well-known books. Like, it's no Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's no Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Interesting. All right. Well, that's you're the only one that watched stuff this week, so let's move on to what's coming out next week. We have two legit movies that are worth talking about. One is The Secret Life of Pets, which is surprisingly getting good reviews. Like, I am shocked at the fact that this movie is getting good reviews. It has an 84% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. Completely and utterly shocked. Then we have Mike and Dave's
Mike and
Mike
Dave
and
need
Dave
wedding
need
dates.
wedding dates.
Yes, there we go. And that's a movie that I'm gonna see. Dylan is gonna see because we like Zac Efron. We're the two guys out there
Yeah.
that actually like the dude, and we
Yep.
want him to succeed.
I like Zac Efron.
Well, you like him as well. He just picks
all-
horrible movies.
All
Just-
three of us.
He picks god awful
He
movies.
picks his movies by dartboard. Huh?
No, yeah, I think he picks it by whichever movie's gonna let him have his shirt off. But whatever, because
But
Dirty
I think
Grandpa.
every movie that he
I mean,
chooses will allow him to have his shirt off.
I did a top 10, and dear Jesus, dude, he has like maybe 5 good movies in his resume. 5.
Three of them are the,
Oh, yeah,
are the
you-
High School Musical franchise.
I am not gonna lie. That franchise is one of them. Like it's not good out there. But I want to see the trailers look for me. They look funny at times and then not funny at others. Secret Life of Pets, I had no interest at all, none. Maybe I'll do a double feature and watch Dory and this on the same day. But like, I had no interest, and somehow this movie's good. I am shocked. How about you, Alexander? You've seen one of these two, right? But
I've seen Mike and Dave need wedding dates, but I can't talk about it
all right. So how about
because
Secret
the
Life of
embargo's
Pets?
still up. I kind of want to see it now. I mean, Illumination. I feel like Illumination is a animation studio that doesn't really put a lot of like effort. Which, I mean, they play it safe, and sometimes it works well, like with the two Despicable Me movies. But then you get something that's like that's just solely there for marketing purposes, like Minions or Lorax.
Or the Trolls
And-
movie, is that them? When the Trolls movie
No.
coming out? Who's doing that?
No, that's not them.
Oh, I thought that was them.
It's not them.
Troll.
I think it might be DreamWorks.
That's DreamWorks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would like to see Illumination go up more in like making better movies. I don't expect them to be like Pixar level quality, but I would like to see them put more effort.
Who does How to Train Your Dragon? Is that DreamWorks as well?
DreamWorks.
It's DreamWorks.
Yeah.
So DreamWorks has good movies. All right, cool. They have two,
Yeah, they also
maybe
have
three
the
franchises.
Kung Fu Panda franchise.
Shrek,
and
Kung Fu
and Shrek.
Panda, and How to Train Your
Half of
Dragon.
Shrek's good.
All right, Dylan.
Madagascar is actually like sneaky good. Like
the
Penguins
first one.
Madagascar was a pretty good movie.
I like the
and
first one.
Madagascar 3 is surprisingly competent.
All right. So how about when it comes to?
Took place after the original story. Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in
Oh
Wonderland.
God, and that movie sucks. So, but this isn't Disney. Now I'm almost
not
positive
Disney,
Disney is not going to make
It's
a Tarzan
Warner Brothers, I think.
movie.
It is Warner Brothers.
Disney's not
It is
making
Warner
this
Brothers.
anytime soon. And then also I've heard the CGI is bad, especially when we got something like the Jungle. He flies like 100 feet
Yeah.
in the air, like the most jump anybody's ever gotten. It's like what the fuck?
Yeah,
What boost
like,
did he have on
just
this thing?
that, I'm in. Will it be bad? Maybe. That's fine though. I'm really excited for this movie. I have a running joke with my friends, and I'm calling this the most hype movie of the summer. So whenever I go to a theater and we're at the theater, I'm like, guys, there it is, one more week, and they're like,
You're that guy.
God, you're actually seeing that? Yeah, for this movie. Hopefully the hype train works out. And Secret Life of Pets, I'll see it. That first trailer when I like the one that's just the pets, like when their owners go away. First time I saw it, very enjoyable. Then I saw it like 35 more times in theaters, and I hate that goddamn trailer. It was so long every time I watched it. And then they changed the trailer, and I'm like,
I
oh, so it's just a Toy Story story, but with pets? Okay.
so now you know my
It can't be worse than Minions.
it can't be,
Alex?
but with that first trailer, what you said, seeing it so many times that you ended up hating it, that's how I felt about the Sloth trailer for Zootopia.
Just
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, so that's what's coming out this week. I
Oh,
think
there's
that's,
also Captain Fantastic, which
what's
looks okay.
what is that?
What is that,
Oh,
by the
this
way?
is that.
Where
This is that Viggo
Viggo
Mortensen movie.
Mortensen-
I so want to see this. This is where he lives in the woods with his wife, and then she passes away, and then the government gets involved and try to take his kids because he lives in the wilderness, and his kids don't know how to live in society. I want to see this movie.
Wee family movie.
I don't think this is a family. I mean,
That's
it looks like
sarcasm.
it looks like a Little Miss Sunshine style of movie where it's like a dark comedy kind of thing and with drama
Okay.
parts in it. I want to see this. I didn't know this was it though. This goes limited, so I probably won't be seeing this until it goes on demand.
And
all
also,
right.
Cell comes out, which apparently is one of the
No,
worst
dear
movies
Jesus,
ever
no.
made.
That's that fucking weird ass Samuel Jackson,
John Cusack
John
and Samuel L. Jackson
Oh, Chris Stuckman reviewed
movie
that
yeah,
already.
yeah, it's that one.
It's supposed to be it's supposed to be based on a Stephen King short story, I think.
Interesting. I didn't see that
Yeah.
movie. All right, well, let's head over to the best movies of the year so far. Like I mentioned earlier, we are going to do this round robin. I'll say mine, then we'll go to Alexander, Dylan, and keep going around the circle. So I'm going to start with my number 5. But before we get into that, I'm going to give you 7 honorable mentions of movies that could have been in my top. Some of these will be in my top 10. The first one is, shockingly enough, 13 Hours, the Michael Bay movie. I know, I'm shocked myself. It's on there. It's number like 12, 13 for me. It's on there. I know, surprise. After that, we have Fundamentals of Caring, a Netflix movie that stars Paul Rudd and Selena Gomez. I saw it last week or something like that. Last night I saw Midnight Special. That would have been my number 10. Not as good as Nicholas, whatever that guy's name is. Other movies like Mud and Take Shelter. I think those movies are way better, but still interesting, and it reminded me of parts of a Tomorrowland for some reason. Next I have The Nice Guys, then Jungle Book. Then after that I also have Hush, which is a Netflix movie made by what's director made this? But it's a movie about a girl she's deaf and in a house, and a serial killer tries to kill her. And
This is on Netflix, right?
it's on Netflix, yeah. And the reason it works is because it plays with sound in like one of the coolest ways, and it's brutal. And I just thought the concept was really good. And then the final honorable mention is 10 Cloverfield Lane. I really enjoyed that movie. The ending is kind of but I still liked it. And my number 5 is Deadpool. My true number 5 is Deadpool. That was this year, right? Yeah, February.
Yes, it was.
Deadpool, I thought it was funny. I've seen it several times. It still holds up to me. Not as funny as the first time you see it because of the jokes, but I think Ryan Reynolds was amazing. I thought the action scenes were fine. I know Dylan has some problems with it, but I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. It's in my top 5. It'll probably fall down the list, and maybe some of these other movies might creep in if I see them again. But yeah, Deadpool is my number 5. How about you, Alexander? What do you got?
You go next, Dylan.
All right, Dylan.
Usually we go
Okay.
to you, Dylan, and me.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go through my honorable mentions real quick. I'm just gonna go from 11 through 6. 11 is The Conjuring 2. 10 is Finding Dory. 9 is Popstar Never Stop Never Stopping. 8 is The Jungle Book. 7 is a movie named Krisha, which is fantastic, but most people haven't seen it. It comes and
Is
it's
that
not even a
animation?
Blu-ray release date
Is that
yet.
an animation?
No, it's not. It was directed and written and by the same guy. He's also like a supporting actor in the movie, and the credits is literally like 45 seconds long. Like 20 people worked on the movie. It's really well done. I had a great time watching it. It's fantastic.
Dark comedy.
But it was just at number 7. I just want to talk about it a little bit because nobody knows about it. Number 6 is Zootopia, which I've gushed about multiple times on this podcast. And my number 5 film of the year so far is 10 Cloverfield Lane. I saw this movie twice opening weekend. The sound design's really well done. The direction, the suspense, not knowing whether John Goodman is right or not throughout the entire movie really worked for me. And when the bit and the reveal didn't really work for me the first time I saw it, but then I saw it a second time, and it's definitely hinted at throughout the entire film. So it worked with me. I liked the duality from one of the opening shots to one of the ending shots. I enjoyed the main character. I forget, was it Mary
Mary
Elizabeth
Elizabeth
Winstead?
Winstead.
Yeah,
Mary Elizabeth
she's
Winstead.
fantastic.
The
Okay,
dude, the
she's
dude from
fantastic. I loved her in the movie.
um,
I also really enjoyed how the movie subtly hints to the first Cloverfield and how it helps further along the Cloververse and all the lore behind it. Um,
what's
yeah,
the
I
guy's name in
really
this?
dug
John
this.
Gallagher, is that his name? The guy, the other guy.
John Gallagher Jr., I
He's
think.
he's the bad guy in Hush.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's the guy
Oh,
with the
okay.
he's the guy wearing the
That's cool.
mouse. I mean, it's not a review. I mean, it's not like a spoiler. He's on the damn trailer. But
Yeah.
all right.
Right, Alex.
What's your Alex?
Okay, for me, I don't have any honorable mentions to list. So this is kind of why I wanted to go last in our circle. But number 5 for me, I'd have to say it's Zootopia, which is a movie that it more I think about it, gets better and better. When I first saw it, I was like, it's really good, and I do like the social commentary here, but I don't think it's like one of Disney's best, the way other people are saying it is. But then I had time to sit on it, and it just kept getting better and better. I will still say the sloth scene that they just show in the trailer. I wish they didn't do that because you see the whole scene. Like that's all the scene in the movie. There's
Yeah,
no
pretty much.
additional jokes. It's just that, and you're like, okay, I've seen this every time I went to see The Force Awakens in theaters. Let's move on. Let's do something else. And then it did something else, and it was pretty good. In terms of like Disney movies in this in this like age, as they're calling it, I'd probably I like Wreck-It Ralph, Princess and the Frog, and Big Hero. It'd probably be number 4 because Big Hero 6, Wreck-It Ralph, and Princess and the Frog I like much more than this.
So it's ahead of Tangled and Frozen for you.
It is, yes.
Okay, cool. Alrighty then, back to me. Oh shit. So my number 4, let me go to here, is another movie that I saw recently, and that is Everybody Wants Some. Now, I know this movie isn't great. Some people really like it, and the reason I
Speak for
really like it,
yourself.
well, you think it's great?
We'll get to that later.
Okay, so I love this movie because anybody that knows me is I fucking love the 80s. Like, I love the 80s. I am extremely excited about that Stranger Things movie coming out, or TV series on Netflix coming out, which is like E.T., which like it's Spielberg, but like a TV series. It's set in the 80s. I'm super pumped about it. I love the 80s. I love 80s music. And when I was watching this movie, I was like, all right, I like Dazed and Confused. Let's see how this is. From opening shot with the music, the fun, the banter, the relationships. I judge movies based on when it ends. Do I want do I want it to keep going? Do I want like a sequel for a movie that doesn't deserve doesn't need a sequel? And yes, the ending of this movie, as soon as it happens, I'm like, no, I want a sequel. Like, what happens next? And I absolutely love this movie from the soundtrack, like everything about it. Its concept is basic. There's not too much plot to what's happening. It's just like it's set between like I think a couple days. It's just dudes hanging out, partying in the 80s with awesome music, getting drunk.
It's pretty much Dazed and Confused,
in the
or
80s.
they even say it's a spiritual successor to
Yeah,
it.
it stays in the Confused in the 80s. It's just a baseball team hanging out and just living it up, and I really enjoyed it. So it could be because I'm biased towards the 80s, but I liked it a lot. How about, what's your number 4, Dylan?
All right, so my number 4 is Captain America: Civil War, directed by the Russo brothers. I saw this 4 times in theaters, twice in IMAX. In fact, it's great. The airport sequence is amazing. Spider-Man, whenever he's on screen, were one of my favorite parts of the film. I really dug the story. I think Daniel Bruhl is probably one of the best Marvel villains, if not the best Marvel villain that we've gotten in this MCU so far. I thought his plot actually worked out. And the movie's emotional. Chris Evans is great. It has some of the best action sequences that I've ever seen in movies. Like there's like 4 or 5 action scenes in this movie where you're like, oh yeah, that would have been like the best action sequence in most comic book movies, and there's like 4 of them in this film. The score is pretty good. I like the way it was shot. And I just have a great time watching this movie. I enjoyed how it's like it's frantically paced. Like it's like once the airport scene or once the recruitment starts, it just never slows down from that point. So when it's over, you're like 2.5 hours went by that quickly. For me, those are the movies that I enjoy the most. Is when I don't feel the length of the movie, and I thought this movie did that expertly.
All right. How about you, Alexander? What's your number 4?
Number 4 for me would be Deadpool. The first time I saw this, I saw it a week before it opened, and out of that whole room of critics, I was probably the one that laughed the loudest at it. I'm actually shocked people didn't turn around and go, "What's wrong with you?" Even though everyone else seemed to be enjoying it. It's was watching it a third time just recently with my brother and my best friend, who'd never seen it in theaters. I really started to pick up on everything that I didn't catch the first time. The jokes were a lot funnier, and yeah, it just does a really good job with the character after they fucked him up royally in the ass with X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yeah, not much there to say. I'm looking forward. I'm actually looking more forward to a follow up to Deadpool rather than whatever they have planned for the X-Men because
Yeah.
last X-Men movie was not that great.
All right. Back to me. So literally right now, I've been flip flopping my top 3. So just to let you guys know that I'm not even sure where these things stand right now. But I will say my number 3 is, as of right now, is Captain America: Civil War. For everything that Dylan said, for everything, like the movie is fun. It introduces new characters in cool ways. I've seen this movie twice. Twice. I'll watch it again and see how it holds up once it's on like Blu-ray. I think it's funny. I think it's emotionally hitting. I didn't see the twist coming. I know some people are like, oh, like some people did see a twist coming at the end. I didn't see that. I thought the reason that they were fighting worked. I thought the airport scene, those 21 or 17 or however long minutes were amazing. Yeah, there's some loopholes as to why certain characters are there and whatever, like falls in logic. But I enjoyed the movie, had a great time. It's my second favorite or maybe third favorite Marvel movie. Winter Soldier to me is still a better movie, but and even maybe Avengers, it's like right in there. But I just enjoyed the hell out of the movie. I had a good time. I thought it was fun. I'm shocked at how well they were able to balance this amount of characters because Joss Whedon did it and he had less characters, and then when he tried to do it with more characters, he wasn't able to do it in Age of Ultron. And then these guys had even more characters. So I'm shocked at how good they were able to balance the characters and give me a good time. So that's my number 3. How about you, Dylan?
All right, well, this is not going to be a popular opinion. My number 3
Oh,
is
no.
Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Cut.
Number 3, Dylan? Number 3?
Okay, Ultimate Cut
Yeah.
doesn't count.
We'll give it to you because it came
That
out this
does.
year. We'll give it to you. I'll give it to you, at least.
That
It came
does.
out this year. It's like if it came on Netflix or whatever. But I am shocked.
Straight to VOD movies count.
All right, so
And
Don't.
it had a one-night theatrical release in 12 theaters nationwide.
okay, go for it.
So I love the theatrical cut, but I understand that the pacing is pretty bad in the movie, and there's no connective tissue there. They just cut out everything that sets up the exposition in the movie, and they were just showed you exposition after exposition. The Ultimate Cut, I think, solves most of that. If you didn't like the movie at the first time, you probably still won't like it if your issues are the larger issues of like why they're fighting or the interpretation of the characters.
So you're saying if I
But if
gave it a
you're-
D, if I watch the Ultimate Cut, I'll give it a D+.
Probably, or like a C minus.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
But if your problems were more the way the story was presented and not being able to understand most of it, this film solves most of the new cut solves most of those problems. There's a lot more connective tissue here. It's like there's actual scene transitions this time, and when I was watching it, I'm like, oh, this
you mean
flows
there's the
so much
basic
better.
stuff that every director should do?
Hey, it's not Zack Snyder's fault that he signed on to make a 3-hour movie, and then with a month before release, WB's like, oh, you're gonna have to cut
I will tell you
30
that.
minutes out of this 3-hour movie. You do that to any 3-hour movie, and it doesn't work.
So I will tell you though, I could have watched that movie this week, and instead I watched Hush, Green Room, Everybody Wants Some, and The Fundamentals of Caring. Like every movie
I
I
don't
could
blame
have,
you.
every movie like I was like, and I want to see it. I do. And there's people that like
Just
Snap,
wait till you can
like
rent
Snap
it in, like 2
loves,
weeks.
like Snap hated it like Alexander almost hated it, and somehow he's flipped. So I'm shocked, but I have to see it, so I can't judge you for it.
And then I'm a Zack Snyder fan. I think the way that he directs movies is really, for me, it really works. I love his action sequences. The last like 20 minutes of this movie, when in terms of the way it's shot, I thought was really well done. I love Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck in their respective superhero roles. I like the way Lois Lane is portrayed in this movie. I actually think like Lex Luthor's plot actually makes sense in the Ultimate Cut, which it kind of does in the actual cut. But in the Ultimate Cut, you're like, oh. So they didn't explain like they didn't show 4 or 5 things in the theatrical cut itself. The score is not as good as Man of Steel's, but it's still a pretty competent score, and I thought the Wonder Woman theme was great. My only complaints about the movie really is I think that they probably should have for the theatrical cut, they should have cut out the metahuman file email and the dream sequence, and it would have been a much more streamlined film. And then put down the ultimate cut for like hardcore fans like
All
me
right,
that would want to actually see that. And
I want to ask you something though, real
it's
quick.
already being ruined.
I want to ask something. When it comes to the files, do they explain why Lex came up with the symbols?
No, it's
Oh,
just an Easter egg. It's just you're in a comic book movie world.
so he just nobody's established the symbols but Lex somehow. Because like I'm gonna be curious as to how they do that in Justice League, where it's like when the Flash has the symbol on his thing, he's like, "Oh my God, he must be friends with Lex Luthor. He has the symbol. He gave him the suit."
They
Uh,
probably just won't even acknowledge it,
all right,
for being completely
I
honest.
will watch this.
But yeah,
I will
I
watch
really
this.
dig the movie.
All right,
And I love the theatrical cut, and I think that this is a massive improvement over that for
but
pacing
it's
issues.
over three
But
hours
for me,
long.
if I only have like 2.5 hours, I don't want to spend a little bit over 3 hours watching a movie. I won't like hate watching the theatrical cut, but I doubt that I'll be watching that very much in
Okay.
the future because I own the ultimate cut now, and it's vastly superior.
All right, Alexander, we are on your number three. Let's see what surprises you throw at us.
I'm going to miss arguing with you about why Batman v Superman is. We'll get to that later. Number
I
three
don't
for
blame
me
that.
is well, we'll get to it later. Number three for me is I think a movie two of you mentioned. I know you mentioned it, Stephen. 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Mm.
Now, I gotta say, I actually wasn't a fan of the first Cloverfield. I just thought it was kind of mediocre. I mean, I liked the different approach it took with making a monster movie through found footage. It was pretty interesting, but what killed it for me were the characters. They were just like real. They were a bunch of annoying Abercrombie and Finch models. Um, and they just do stupid things. And the ending was just kind of. I like movies that like can like wrap up things tightly. I didn't think the first one ended that tightly. Yeah.
I think that was the
But I
point
mean,
of the first one. It was just kind of like crazy, insane shit's just
I get.
happening.
It was supposed to
I
be an on the ground
Just
point of
as-
view from when a
just-
monster
Yeah,
attacks.
I get your problems.
I mean,
though.
I think it's a decent movie when I rewatched it in preparation for 10 Cloverfield Lane, but it's effective.
I get your point.
Right.
Though, why
I
you
mean
wouldn't
that
like
more
it.
that might be more my personal issues, and I'm willing to admit that.
That's fair.
But 10 Cloverfield Lane, I thought was much, much better. Like for one, I like how it works as a bottle movie, and there's so much suspense going on. The opening scene with the car crash made me jump 10 feet in my seat.
Yeah, I
Like,
didn't
'cause
see that coming. It caught me off guard. I was
Yeah.
like, why are we outside? Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, it like it had the same effect for me as the car truck collision in Whiplash, where I just like didn't see it coming.
Yeah, that was,
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I thought
It
everyone.
was the same way it was shot too.
pretty close.
Yeah.
It was like
Well, I
it was like
think
from the
maybe
driver's seat, and then it goes up and they get hit.
I think maybe 10 Cloverfield Lane did it better because like it was at night and you really couldn't see all that much.
Respect.
But I thought everyone did a really good job. The two standouts are Mary Elizabeth Winstead and John Goodman. And John Goodman is so fucking creepy in this movie. Yeah? And like Steve said, like you really don't know where he's coming from. Like he seems to be making sense at points, but he seems to be super psychotic. So you have no idea what's happening with him. And then for the ending, the second I saw this walked out of the movie, I said, people are going to be split on that ending. So I guarantee some people will hate it, some people will love it. I actually kind of liked it because it was, again, it was kind of unexpected. And it does like play into the like world, like there are monsters and aliens in this world. And it's all telling this universe is being told from the perspective of the people who don't matter, like not the like Will Smiths or who go out there, punch an alien, smoke a cigar while they do it. No, these are just like everyday people, and because of that they feel more real, and I like how this movie has a lot more character development than the first one did. And if I had one problem, and this necessarily isn't something that the movie did, but more like the people who were in charge of the Blu-ray release. Whose idea was it to cut half of the slipcover off?
I saw that. I saw your picture.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it's only the middle.
That's why I
part.
haven't bought it yet.
It's so weird. It's so weird. It's just the middle. Like it's why did they do that? It's like that's
I
so
have no
weird.
idea.
That's
It's like
straight up the reason I haven't bought that movie yet. Because I went to go buy it opening day because I love the movie and I saw a slipcover and I'm like, I'm not paying full price
You
for
were
that.
like, oh.
I am waiting till Black Friday for this one.
You took it
I
to the
could
front
not
and you're like,
possibly pay
Miss,
20
somebody
bucks for
has
this.
broken this slipcover, and I want to know if you guys.
yeah, that's what
I thought
happened
it was
when
a
I was.
joke.
Well, here's the thing. I went to Best Buy just to browse around, and I actually did this before because I had some time before I had to go to work. So I was just browsing around, and I saw like it was like one copy of 10 Cloverfield Lane that had the slipcover. I'm like, oh, somebody cut it off. That's not right.
Yeah, that's right.
So then I just randomly go to Target, which is literally upstairs from the Best Buy. And because Target puts their Blu-rays in these like security cases, the slipcover there also had the same thing. I'm like, oh shit. This is not a prank somebody pulled. This is actually how they released the slipcover. And which, I mean, if I wasn't so obsessed over slipcovers, that wouldn't bother me so much. But unfortunately, I am. So, but yeah, that's more problem
So
with the.
nice. Slipcovers are so
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, they
I
are.
once
But
almost bought an X-Men First Class Blu-ray that I already owned just because it had a slipcover. It was like $6, and I was like,
Yeah, still,
mine. Why doesn't it have a slipcover?
slipcovers and then like unique steelbooks are like the best. Like the ones
Yeah,
that are,
but
like,
but
the art.
but I mean, but again, that's not a criticism towards the movie because I think 10 Cloverfield Lane in the end is very very good.
I've actually only seen the movie once, so I'm wondering if I watch it again, if I'm gonna love it more and it's gonna make its way higher. Because I put it at number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on my list. So I don't know.
I've only seen it once too.
So I'm wondering if it'll get better for me. All right, so my number 2. Like I said, I was flip flopping all of these, but I think that my number 2 is a movie that I recently just saw, and that is Green Room. So I saw Green Room recently, and I thought it was. I didn't think I was gonna love it, but I love this movie strictly because of the director style of the movie. Like, it's essentially these kind of like this band who sleeps in their cars, goes to town. Dylan, you watched the movie, right? Green Room.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
went. The director and the producer of the film went to my college, and they had an on-campus
Okay.
screening
So it's essentially
of it.
this small band who goes from town to town, just playing small gigs. One of the gigs falls through. They end up going to this one place, and let it be known, these are like Nazis. Like what would you call them, Dylan?
Neo-Nazis?
Neo-Nazis, and they right is
Yeah.
that there was symbols everywhere, KKK everywhere, and then they witness this is all in the trailer. They witness a murder, and then shit just goes crazy. So it's one of the most suspenseful movies I've seen this year. It's gory as fuck, and I was shocked, like insanely gory. The people go out in realistic ways to me, like out of like almost every death in this movie is like, oh shit, I would have tried that, so I would have died there. And oh, I would have tried that. Oh, I would have died there too. like, and I thought the acting was really good. I thought the concept to me is unique, and I don't think I've ever seen a concept like this to me. Anton Yelchin is in it. He's okay. He's good. I mean, he plays like what he was known for playing, like the bumbling kind of shy guy. I think he's the guitarist, I think, or the bassist or something like that. And I don't know, it just, the movie stuck with me. I started thinking about it more and more, and like, what would you do if you got into the situation? They do everything the way that I would do stuff. Patrick Stewart is in this as the bad guy. Insanely creepy. He's not in it a lot, but when he shows up, he has no remorse for what's happening. He is like the leader of these neo-Nazis. Really creepy, really good.
Did you ever hear the story about how they got Patrick Stewart to be in it?
No, I'm shocked that he was willing to do this kind of movie.
Yeah. So the producer and the director were talking, and they hadn't cast the Patrick Stewart role yet, and they were shooting in like 2.5 weeks, and they're like, oh, and then the producer goes, oh, well, how about Patrick Stewart? And the director goes, we're not getting him. And then they go, oh, just try. So they sent him the script, and he like sat down and read it, and like halfway through he gets up and closes all the doors and all the blinds in his house and just turns on a light and continues reading it, and he's just like, that was really good. And then he calls him up and says that he wants to do the movie, and they were like,
it's a really
got him.
It's really tense, and his character, he's as the leader, he has no remorse, and the people, these neo-Nazi people, they're crazy. Like, they're insane. Like, they will stab each other, like, to make it, like, they do some insane shit, and I highly recommend watching it. It's on demand right now. I think it comes out on Blu-ray the 12th, or it's already on Blu-ray. I saw it on demand. But it's really good, definitely worth watching, and
I really want to see it.
It's just, I don't know, it's just everything that they did, I would have done. And I love movies that do that, where that's why I like the movie The Strangers. And many people don't, but I'm like, in The Strangers, they did what I would do. And then most of them died anyway. So when that happens, I'm like, well, then fuck it, I would have died. Like, they don't do too many idiotic things. There is a moment where they're like, we should split up. And you're like, you guys are dumbasses. But other than that, I enjoyed the movie a lot. So definitely worth watching, definitely checking out. I think Stuckman is the one that like put a review. That's the one I saw. I saw his review of it. I think is the only one that I saw. But
everyone that I've watched really dug it. Everyone I've talked to that's seen it really dug it. I like the movie. I didn't really love it, but I'm more part of that because I saw it like in a classroom with like a small projection screen, so it wasn't like the movie theater experience. I wasn't like as invested. Yeah. But it was good, and I would definitely recommend it. And I'd be interested to see what Alex
going in. Did you know it was going to be that gory?
I had seen the trailer, and before it started, the person running the screening was like, "Just the warning, the movie's brutal," and we were like, "Okay, cool."
But yeah, that's my.
And everyone in that screening was like, "Yeah, so we've watched Game of Thrones."
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah. Nah, it's probably more brutal. Like, it's probably more brutal than Game of Thrones at times. I mean, it's pretty, like, because it's so visual right there. You're just seeing it. That's pretty. I liked it. All right, so that's my number 2. Dylan, your number 2.
All right, so my number 2 is The Witch, which is also an A24 distribution movie, distributed film. It's fantastic. So for me, I like horror films when they're built upon suspense, and The Witch is like probably my favorite horror film I've ever seen. The entire time I was on the edge of my seat, and I was like covering every part of my face that wasn't my eyes because I still couldn't look away, but I wanted to look away so bad, but I was so engrossed in the story and what was going on. And part of the reason I love this movie so much is because there really aren't many jump scares. It's just built upon the tension and the context of what's going on. It's kind of like a precursor to the Salem witch trials that happened up in New England in the late 17th or the late 19th century. And it's the acting is fantastic. The goat is just great in the movie, and when you see the movie, you'll understand what I mean.
Yeah, because I'm like
all these
thinking,
things that they do.
How is a goat really good?
But that's the same thing that the Double Toasted guy said. Something about a goat, and I'm like, okay.
The goat, man.
I'm like, what the fuck?
The goat.
They were like laughing, but they were also like the goat freaked them out. And I was like,
okay. It is that goat, man. It's really good 10 minutes in, there's this sequence that I was like, oh, this this movie means business. The movie's terrifying. It's expertly acted, especially by the young child actors, and
That girl
and
is
it has
in
a
something,
ballsy
right?
ending.
Didn't that girl just get cast in something? The girl that plays, I think
She got cast in something. I forget exactly what it was, but I remember I found out that it was her, and I was like, "Damn, what's that movie now?" 'Cause she
So
was so good in The
I've been
Witch.
watching a lot of these like movies on demand, and The Witch is one that I want. I was trying to watch last night, but I didn't watch it. And the other one was The Lobster, which is a Colin Farrell movie, which I heard is really
Yeah,
good.
Colin Farrell and Rachel
I like
Weisz.
The Lobster.
So
I
yeah,
didn't. For me, it was perfectly adequate. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. It was like,
yeah.
oh, it's
So I have
fine.
everything on here of what I wanted to watch, and The Lobster and The Witch are the only two that I haven't seen yet.
The
That I really,
Witch, yeah. Out of those two, I'd recommend seeing The Witch first. The Witch
uh,
is
The Witch,
one of the
I don't
best
want to. I don't
movies.
want to go to sleep like by myself at night. It freaks
I
the fuck
was
out.
flat out. I walked out
So
for
I
the
don't know.
next like 3 days. I was like still kind of like recovering
Well,
from
the
being
thing is, like,
freaked
I
out.
watch a lot of these movies like late at night, and I might watch The Lobster first. All right, so yeah, I definitely want to watch The Witch because
Really good.
I like movies that are built on suspense and not jump scares, so I'm cool with that.
Oh, then this is right up your alley.
All right, Alexander, your numero dos.
All right, my number two is a movie you mentioned already, to Steve. Everybody Wants Some from Richard Linklater.
Yes,
Uh,
so much
the,
awesome in that movie.
Need to see
yeah, I think
this.
I like this movie a little better than you. I mean, obviously here, but I think for different reasons.
All right.
Unlike you, I was born in 1991, so I was
Mhm.
not familiar with the 80s.
Yeah, I
Like, I'm
was.
fine with like I love 80s music and all, but I'm just not. I wasn't in the 80s, so I didn't know how it was like then.
I mean, I
I
was
think I
only
like
like
this
two or
movie.
in the '80s, but I was raised around like my parents' hardcore '80s, so that's all I have. Like, so if you go through my Spotify, it's like mad like just a bunch of '80s music. Like, I have the soundtrack on my
Mine's
Spotify.
just NSYNC.
So I want
All right.
I want Linklater's next one to be about the '90s. I want to just keep going Linklater because everybody
Well,
wants him.
I think the reason why I like this, really like this, and even I'll go as far as say more than Dazed and Confused, is because like the college experience, like a few of these characters and the way they acted were very much like people I knew in college.
That one,
So
the one guy that's like, he's just down to go everywhere. The blonde, what's his name? The blonde guy. The fuck, the
well,
main
they're
guy,
all like
the philosophical one that's always trying to talk to girls.
yeah.
He's awesome, like so awesome. Like I knew a guy just like that. Like just
Yeah,
he,
that like I knew someone like that as well in college, and yeah, it's just like the dynamic between everyone is good. I know people have an issue with it just because like there's no plot and not much goes on, but you know what? Richard Linklater, like he's the only guy who can make a movie like that and just make it feel very real and natural.
Dazed and Confused was the same way. There's nothing happening in that movie. It's just high
It
school dudes
was.
getting high. Like,
But I think the reason why I'm not like I love Days and Confused also, but I think the reason I like this better is because college life was better than high school life, which high school life for me was garbage.
yeah, I get that. Mine was too. Like college was just better for me. But yeah, it's just fun. Like if you love '80s music, it's so much fun to me. And yeah, everything that you're saying is the reason I just.
Yeah, and it
I'm
comes out on Blu-ray
surprised. I'm
next week.
surprised though. Yeah, I saw it on demand. I'm surprised that you liked it so much.
Yeah, I do.
I'm shocked because like I remember
I mean,
I remember you talking about it like a couple months ago or like last month, and you liked it. I just didn't know you liked it this much. That's all.
yeah, well, I mean, I had time to think about it because the way when it opens, I was like, all right, this is good, but nothing too great, and then it just it keeps getting better and better and better.
Yeah, like I've wanted to like I'm gonna buy it on Blu-ray because I want to watch it again. And I also want to see what kind of like I want to hear the commentary. I want to see like how them talking over the movie to see how the experience
Yeah.
was because
Although I will say one thing, and this is like something similar to 10 Cloverfield Lane, where it's not really the movie's fault, but I saw it opening night, and they had three of the cast members awkwardly come out and introduce the movie, like for no reason at all. Like it wasn't anything that was planned.
oh there wasn't
So
like it wasn't like press or anything.
so
Interesting.
that was one thing. No, it wasn't a press screening. This was like opening night, and like three of the cast members came out and awkwardly introduced the movie. So I was like, okay, this like to me I took it as like a warning sign, like okay, this might not be that good, but I was wrong.
Yeah, they just feel like real characters. It was awesome. All right, so My number one. My number one is one that I think Alexander mentioned. I don't know if Dylan mentioned it, but maybe you did in your honorables. My number one is Utopia. So this is the second year.
Really?
This is the second year in a
Yeah.
row where a animated movie is just emotionally hit me. I've seen this movie 6 times, straight up. Saw it 3 times in theaters and 3 times on Blu-ray or
On
digital.
DVD and digital.
Yeah. So,
Or Blu-ray digital.
and the reason is because I watched it 3 times in theaters with three different people, and then when I'm hanging out with other people, they're like they've never seen it, so then it's like $4 to rent it at Redbox. We just do that. Like, oh, you gotta watch this movie, and then I just kept watching it, and every time, I love the characters. I love what it's saying. Love like how deep it gets at times, and I love the voice acting. To me, this is some of the most perfect voice acting ever. Like by everybody,
Jason Bateman,
Jennifer Goodwin, Idris Elba. Everybody voices it perfectly. My one problem with the movie, and it's just it's just a scene, and for most people, they like it, but it's the mafia scene. I don't love that scene. I don't know why. Like, it's just every time I see it, I'm just like, oh, okay, it's a mafia scene. But that's the only scene in this entire movie and then like Alexander mentioned, the sloth. But that didn't bother me as much, except for the ending. The ending, I was like, oh, that's fine, I guess. All
Well,
right.
here's if I could say something. I know I can't speak for you, but the reason the mafia scene didn't work for me is because it was pretty much a parody of The Godfather, and we've seen that movie parodied to death over and over
I think
again.
that's it. I think it's like, oh, once you see it, you're like, oh, they're doing the Godfather bit for like 10 minutes, and I've seen that.
Yeah, it's like The
But that's-
Godfather is 44 years old.
Yeah, and that's literally the only thing I didn't like it. Like that, not even that I didn't like it. I was just kind of like, oh, this is the scene. But I like
Right.
the emotional beats. I like the twist. I like how it plays on society. I think this is a film that you should show elementary school students and just kind of get them infused with certain things. I just love the movie, and it didn't hit me on the emotional beats as Inside Out did for me last year, but it's just a movie that to me is way smarter than it needed to be. When I first saw this marketing for it, I thought it was going to be just a typical animal movie. Yeah, there's questions like where are the birds and things like that, but whatever.
Yeah,
I'm
where are the
cool.
non-mammals?
I'm cool with that. It doesn't. Maybe they'll answer that. Maybe in part 2 they'll be like, "Oh my God, they've been missing for years" or whatever. But I just love the movie. Maybe once I've seen Green Room and Everybody Wants Some and 10 Cloverfield Lane more often, because I've seen this movie 6 times. Maybe once I see those will move higher.
Wow.
And even Captain America: Civil War. Once I've seen those a couple more times, maybe they'll move up. But for right now, Zootopia is the one I've seen the most, and it's the one that's stuck with me the most. And it's another animated movie that proves that Disney and Pixar, or Disney's better than Pixar lately. Just honestly, they are. Like Walt Disney Animation is just better.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
their last 6 movies have been their last 7 have been amazing. Right, 7 because Princess and the Frog was like their 7th, like right.
Princess of the Frog, Tangled, Winnie the Pooh, Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen, Big Hero 6, Zootopia.
7, right? Yeah, their last 7 have been amazing,
Yeah.
movies, just greatness, like better than Pixar besides Toy Story, honestly, and Inside Out. So, yeah, so that's my number one.
Can I say one thing before we go on, Dylan? I really like how Idris Elba is in so many movies this year, but you never actually see Idris Elba.
He's a voice, and then isn't he the villain in Star Trek?
Yeah, but
He
he's
is.
under all that makeup.
You know, I was watching. They were doing the Double Toasted guys were doing a trailer review for it, and for the last one, and they were like, "We don't even know who that guy is," and I'm like, they didn't. I don't think they know that was Idris Elba, because they don't say it in the trailer.
Well, maybe they do, but they don't know the character. Maybe it's the character they're talking about.
Oh, maybe. Because I'm like, his
Or-
name isn't anywhere in the damn thing. They don't promote They don't promote these movies with the actors, which is weird.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Or
big name actors in
maybe,
there.
or maybe it's the fact that Corey Coleman is just stupid.
Could be that. He's funny though. All right, so that's my number one. Dylan, your number one. Let me see what, I don't even know what
Okay,
it
so
is.
my number one is just going to the movie that not only I had the best time in the theater watching this year, but it also stuck with me the most, and that is Sing Street. It is directed by John
I
Carney
want to watch
of
that.
fame
Wait,
from doing
what?
Once and Begin Again.
Wait, what's the name of the movie?
Sing Street.
Sing Street.
I want. That's the guy that made
Once and Begin
Once and
Again.
Begin Again, which I love Begin Again, and Once is really good.
Yeah.
This one didn't
This
gravitate towards me because it's set in Britain, right, or something like that. In
have you
London?
seen it?
No, I just it didn't gravitate like the
It's
trailer.
from Ireland, which
Oh,
I
Ireland?
think John Carney grew up in. I'm not sure.
I'm just saying the trailer
I'm
didn't
not
grab
that-
me. It's about a making of a
Oh,
band or something.
it
right?
is amazing. It is so much fun. The music is so great, and it takes place in the night. So it's also like so you love 80s culture. This is like 80s culture, but influenced into Ireland. Everyone has an Irish British accent, which I adore. The plot is great. And if you're someone who like wants to do something artistic with your life, which I know I'm
Is-
going to film
is
school.
the- is
Alex
the
went to
plot-
film
Is the
school.
plot to this movie the dude makes a band to impress a girl? Is that what I think that's what I got from the trailer? Right?
Yes.
Okay, that was the trailer. All right.
That's how it begins, yeah.
Okay.
But there's more layers to it.
Okay.
It's such a great coming of age story. I think part of the reason I gravitated towards it is because I saw this while I was like in my freshman year of college, and the movie's about and the movie has its theme of like leaving home and what it takes to leave home.
Has a 97%
and stuff as
on
well.
Rotten Tomatoes. Dear Jesus.
Yeah. The music is amazing. I've listened to the music nonstop since I've seen the movie, which was back in like May like in May. And I've just been listening to it on Spotify. Like at least I listened to the whole album at least once a week. And for the week I saw it, I listened to the album probably about 20 times through. It's just such a fun time. The cast is great. I was laughing and almost every single joke hit. I had such a great time watching this movie, and I can't stress just like how much fun I had during this film. And once the movie comes out on Blu-ray, I'm probably gonna watch it like six or seven times on Blu-ray. It's one of those films that I can just rewatch over and over again. Just have a great, feel good time. The ending's really effective.
isn't on
The writing's
demand, right?
witty. I don't think it's on demand yet, but it is. It's really good. Apparently, the
On a
director
pre-order.
didn't have the best time making Begin Again, so he just went back to Ireland to make this small movie with just like, which is a bunch of actors. I just wanted to make something really cool. The guy from Transformers is in it. What's his name? Jake Renner's in it, and he's also really good. He plays the older brother of the main character, and the older brother never really went never left home, never really did anything. He's still living at home like six or 7 years after graduating high school. And this is back in the 80s where most people usually like tried to move out as soon as they could. It's really effective. It's really well done. It stayed with me for a solid week or two, and I still listen to the music. Just I can't stress enough. Go see Sing Street.
It comes out
it's
July
great.
26th on demand. Just let you know.
Does it?
Yeah, because
Sweet.
like
I'm gonna
I
buy
did
it.
want to see it because I do like Once Again, and I liked Once, or not Beginning Again,
Begin
and then
Again.
Once. So yeah, I definitely want to see this. I was just kind of like the trailer just didn't grab me for some reason. So I don't know. All right,
It's
Alexander.
surprising.
So what's your number one?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't see like as many movies as you did. So I didn't see Green Room. I didn't see the movie you just talked about, Dylan.
Sing Street.
But so Sing Street, yes. So number one for me is just I'm gonna be mainstream and just go with Captain America: Civil War.
That's fair.
I mean, it's
When I first saw this movie, I thought, wow, Marvel actually made a movie that's better than the Avengers for me. Yeah. And then I saw it a second time, and while I still really, really love it, I may have been like over exaggerated that statement because one thing that I'll give the Avengers is that it moves for 2.5 hours, or it moves for like 2 hours and 24 minutes, but you never feel the length. Civil War is exactly 2.5 hours, and you do feel the length. You're like, you know what? Watching this again, you actually do feel the length of this movie. Yeah, but it's more like The Dark Knight, where it's like, yeah, it's long, but I'm not bored. Keep it going, huh? And I just think everything like in this movie flows perfectly. That a lot of other superhero movies could learn from. I won't say names, but like the villain, Zemo is the best villain because he's human, and his motivations actually work. And I really love how he and T'Challa just basically have a conversation at the end, rather than just like fight each other. They just talk about like the motivations, revenge. I think it's like a much like one criticism that people give with the Marvel movies is that they're like too lighthearted. There are no stakes. I think there are actually a lot of stakes here. Like the ending of the movie and just the way events play out for the characters, I think is really emotionally powerful because everyone's kind of damaged, and things are not at peace.
Yeah, one thing I forgot to mention when I was talking about this movie was I think this is the second best Marvel villain, for me at least, because of like the emotional and the twist and the personal part about it. So yeah, I forgot to mention that. And I guess the when you were saying the stakes thing, I think the stakes thing is more nobody ever stays dead in Marvel movies, and that's people's problems. Like tragedy never really strikes to like our main protagonist that often,
Right.
in
I
a
think
they're gone forever way. So I think that's where
Right.
if like I don't know if certain people would have died, or the only guy that's really died, spoiler, Quicksilver, in age,
well,
and we don't even
well,
know what's gonna happen there, but.
well, just because a character doesn't die does not mean there are emotional stakes
No,
to
no,
be
no,
had.
yeah, I get that. And I mean, when I mean die, I mean like die, and there's no way of him coming back. Or
Exactly.
we don't know that, because there's people that have gone and then showed up again.
And especially since as much as I love Winter Soldier, Iron Man 3, Thor: The Dark World, and Captain America: Winter Soldier did do that thing repeatedly where it's like, oh, this person's dead. Nope, not really. Which
Yeah.
thank God they dropped that.
Yeah, they
Thank
didn't do
God
it
they
this time.
stopped.
They didn't do that this time. That was awesome. I mean, yeah, they right away when something tragic happens to one of the characters, in a fight scene, you know right there what happens. They don't try to like play out. Oh, is he gone or you know what I mean? That was cool, but I didn't do it. I mean, it's my number. What I put number 3. And
You
I
said
said-
4, I think. No. Dylan was 4.
It,
Yeah, mine
it
was
was me
3.
for 4. He was
And
3.
mine was like I was saying, like I was literally changing it as we were talking, like top 3, top 3. So yeah, I love this movie. I think it's great, and I can't wait to see it again. So we
That's really
we got the good out of the way. Now let's
Now let's talk about the bullshit.
the bullshits. All right, so I'll start with mine. I avoided as many bad movies as possible this year. Like I saw no bad movies. Just like last year, I'm just not watching bad movies. I'm just not. So my top 3 are not movies that are probably going to be that awful compared to other movies on other people's lists. But I'll give you my honorable mentions. BVS is an honorable mention for me. I'm sorry, Dylan. I know your face is very upsetting. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
I'm sorry,
It's
Dylan.
fine.
I'm sorry.
I'm used to it.
But then also for me, X-Men Apocalypse. Gotta be honest.
Really?
For me, I mean, I haven't seen bad movies, but movie is unmemorable. Makes me wish they would reboot it. Makes me wish I've never wanted them to be attached to Marvel, and then made me want to do that. Wasted of characters. The adding of the shitty, and then this has nothing to do with the movie, but the fact that that poster pissed people off upset me because I didn't get it. I'm like, she's a mutant. She's not a regular human.
People
Whatever.
just
Whatever.
want to bitch about
Whatever. I'm not a woman,
So-
so I can't say how that would affect me if I was. But I look at that as she's the main superhero for shitty reasons. We made her the main person. The fact that she is the main person in an X-Men movie is already a problem, and you mean to tell me
She's
that
not
we're
the
gonna,
main person.
she is
She's-
the main person.
No,
No, the
she
main
is.
people of the entire X-Men franchise is Professor X and Magneto, Wolverine in the background. Wolverine's not in here, so then
Yeah, no. Come on,
what's
this
her-
in this new 3 movies,
She
the main
takes that role.
person is those 3, but she is the
Yeah,
leader of the
it's
X-Men.
fine.
Okay, I'm
It's
cool.
like when
which is dumb, and I agree.
I'm cool with
Yeah,
whatever.
I agree on that
If
point.
you did that, that's the story you went with because she's that bothered me. But then
Yeah,
the
it's
poster
like-
thing bothered me because she's if it would have been Xavier being choked out, would that be a problem? I don't know, but whatever.
It wouldn't.
Whatever.
But here's what I'll say: like finding out that this new X-Men trilogy mostly revolved around Mystique
But I
more than
liked-
the other
But I like
characters.
the other movies, so that's why I'm like, I liked First Class and I like this one. So
Yeah,
just when,
but this one
just
seemed to
felt
be
forced.
more focused around. But I would say this: it's the equivalent of finding out that the Hobbit trilogy didn't revolve around Bilbo and instead Thorin.
yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah, that's fair.
But then again, but my reasons aren't for the marketing or anything. It's
Extra is
because
much
this
better.
one is so unmemorable, so unmemorable. I watched this movie and I was like, I don't remember anything about it. Um,
Yeah.
People change
Yeah,
sides, and I'm
I
like,
remember
why are they changing sides?
the
Apocalypse isn't even a great comic book character, but you made him worse in the movie. He didn't do anything. His power was undefined, and that bothered me.
The only thing that I remembered from this movie, and this is actually a backhanded compliment to the movie, is the jab they made about the third movie being the
Yeah,
worst in the series. And I'm
yeah.
like, you're not in a position to do that,
And I will
movie.
100
Yeah,
and I will
'cause that was the
100%
worst.
say that this is, if I were to watch all the movies this year, this wouldn't be anywhere near my top 10. Not even in my top 20. But I didn't watch bad movies this year. I avoided a lot of them. But these were two of the ones that I'm just like the
It's not. I disliked it a lot more a second time. I still enjoyed it. I was like, I might watch this like a few more times in my life or whatever. Like I'll watch the first two and I'll be so pumped that I love those two. I'll go watch this one, kind of that type of thing. But there's just so many mind-numbing errors that were
yeah.
made in the scripting process of this movie where you're like, oh, why didn't you just like as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, oh, they could have just changed the character to have this motivation instead, and her role in the movie makes much more sense for future films and this film. And I had like six of those from watching the movie a second time, and I was like,
Okay.
okay, so I just don't think they just I'm not gonna say they didn't care, but they just didn't take the time to make sure that everything made sense in the movie.
And
And
then
that dumbass comment at the end where I don't want to spoil it, but the dumbass comment where Mystique gossips to someone, and
yeah.
I was like, "What? Why?
Yeah, I
Why
mean,
would you?
they didn't.
Okay, sure."
The mistake was going 10 years. The mistake was not
I
making it.
think that
It
was
didn't feel personal. The X Men is always supposed to
Yeah.
be. To me, the X Men is supposed to be feel personal, and this one didn't feel personal. It was just a, here comes a bad guy who wants to destroy the world. Like, okay,
Could you
And it
imagine
didn't
how
feel like
easy?
that's and
Go ahead.
for a trilogy, it didn't even seem like that satisfying of an ending.
yeah. So that's why
Steve,
maybe it's disappointing movie. I guess the most like maybe that's what it is for me.
Steven, can
Yeah.
you imagine how easy it would have been if they had just had this be the movie where they basically like Cyclops' movie, and he's the one that goes from joining the X-Men, and then he becomes the leader of the X-Men during that final fight, and
Um,
instead of having Storm become a fucking Horseman of the Apocalypse, she's just this runaway mutant in where the battle takes place, and then she's like, "Oh, I want to help out the good guys," and that's how
yeah.
she joins the team.
I
That
did
would have been so
I
much
did like
better.
the introduction of Cyclops. I liked we got a mini origin story for Cyclops, mini origin story for Storm. I like that. That's all cool. I wish we would have got more into that, but yeah. So those movies were both more disappointing than they were the worst things I've seen. The worst thing I saw this year is the movie we talked about earlier. The worst movie I saw this year is Independence Day
Mm.
Resurgence, and it's because that's just a bad movie. Like it's not a dumb movie. It's not a bad movie that's still fun to watch. There is literally nothing I enjoyed from uh, Independence Day Resurgence. Not one fucking thing. I
You
walked
didn't
out
love
of that
Jeff Goldblum
movie.
driving the bus?
No, no, no. There is not one thing. We're not talking about the pedophile ending with the kids. We won't mention that. That's weird. The weird bus thing is weird. Where the guy's like, "Oh, you guys can come live with me." Wait, what? Okay,
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
Okay, okay. You're gonna adopt a bus of kids that are all like super young, and you're okay, whatever. Um, I can't remember any characters' names. I can give two shits about them. I don't care about Will Smith's son. I don't care about the president's daughter. You ruined the characters that were fun in the last one. A character that clearly died in Independence Day. Clearly died is in this movie.
Yeah.
He
Is he the one from the coma?
he
There- There's
he
there's no
died.
point. We can say what it is because they show him in the trailer. It's Brett Spiner.
He died in the movie in the first one. He was choked, like, he was dead, and he's
So
in
he
this
was the one that
movie.
awoke from the coma.
Yeah, crazy ass
Because
scientist.
I don't know who the actors are.
Yeah, the crazy ass
Okay.
scientist guy, whatever. There is no there's no memorable moments, and that's what bothers me. Is like the first Independence Day has Will Smith has a ton of memorable moments. The White House blowing up has there's memorable it's one of the most memorable explosion scenes ever.
Yeah.
This is just we're gonna make a spaceship that's 3,000 miles fucking wide or
Basically
whatever the
as
fuck
big-
it is.
Basically as big as the entire United States.
Not going to mention this. Not sure if you guys remember this, but in the first Independence Day movie, did you know that they came to our Earth because they wanted our Earth? They wanted to live here. They live like, they breathe like us. They are like us. They wanted to eliminate us and take our Earth. In this one, they want to just take our magma core and destroy the planet.
Yeah, I guess I'm not as attached to the first Independence Day because I don't have the nostalgia factor for it. I didn't grow up with Independence Day.
I did.
And even then, yeah, so I can understand like people like you and Mark Ellis.
So I was like 10 when the first one came out, maybe like around 9 or 10. So that's when I was like, yes, this is amazing. And then I've seen it and it holds up. And yeah, like Mark Ellis, where he is upset.
And he likes everything.
Yeah, he likes everything. He gave a 5 out of 5 to fucking 13 hours, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It just ruined it. Like, I don't.
Yeah, it's just like I didn't like hate it. It's just eh.
No. To me, it's a movie that's bad and it shits on already established. And I get it. We wanted a sequel, whatever. We wanted it a long time ago. We got it.
Were we asking for one though? It's apparently not doing very hot.
Well, a long time ago, people were asking for it. It's not doing hot because it's bad. If it was good, but it just ruined things. It killed off characters. A stripper becomes a doctor, but we never established that's what she was trying to do in the first movie.
Oh my god.
We never established it. And I get it's been 20 years. Apparently, spoiler, Will Smith died. Maybe when he died, she became that. I don't know. The girl from It Follows is in this. And it always bothered me that she's in this, but we didn't cast the girl, the original girl.
Yeah.
That's what everyone keeps telling me.
Actress.
You know, I was talking to a friend of mine at work about this movie, and she said, "Why didn't they just cast the original girl from there?" And I'm like,
whatever. It's just
I forget her name, but my friend said that probably the reason they didn't cast her is because she's not as good looking, and I'm like,
she's an average, like she's hot to me. I love her. It's a girl from the Duff, but.
I told my
she's obviously
friend.
not attractive. She was the dumb, ugly, fat friend.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, I told my friend from work, like, actually, she actually looks a lot better than Micah Monroe.
I like Micah, but
I do too, but whatever.
I don't know. I like the girl from Parenthood and the girl from the Duff, but she's short, kind of not skinny, whatever.
Well,
she dodged the bullet. Maybe she didn't
Yeah.
want this movie, but then again, she did say they didn't offer it to her. Whatever. Don't take
Just
that
like-
as a complaint. Don't take that as a.
So
offense.
basically, like, her scenario with Independence Day 2 was basically Bryan Cranston's scenario for Batman versus Superman.
What do you mean?
Why didn't you cast that person?
Oh, they didn't
and
offer
you'd be
it.
like,
Yeah.
well, at least they dodged a bullet.
Actually, no, because if they would have cast Bryan Cranston instead of Jesse, I think it would have he wouldn't have acted like that. He would have not.
Yeah, he
done
would have
it.
been
He
a
would
much
have been
different
way
character.
different. But nonetheless,
Well, we'll get to that
my
later.
nostalgic moments is that's why maybe it's nostalgia, but that upset me. So that is the worst movie I've seen, and that would have
All
been, the worst.
What
movie.
about how
that's
they
the
were
worst
able
movie I've seen in
to-
the last 2 maybe 3 years.
But Steven, how about how they were able to expertly set up Independence Day 3?
Oh, you mean like practically?
Oh, shut up.
Just look at the camera, wink, and hold up a sign of what the next one is called. Like, just do that. Like,
Yeah, that's what I said in my review. Like that, it's so telegraphed that you might as well just have Jeff Goldblum or Brett Spiner look at the camera and wink at the audience.
they should have gone and they were like, they'll be back, and so will we. That should have been the ending because it's so
Right.
blatant. Whatever. That's why.
So that's your piece of shit of the year, Dylan.
yeah.
What's your
The other
piece of
two are
shit?
more disappointments than worse. So there you go.
Oh. So I saw Independence Day Resurgence, and I would rather watch Independence Day Resurgence 5 times in a row than watch my worst. But I'm going to go with my one honorable mention, because I've really only hated 2 movies this year. My honorable mention is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Out of the Shadows. It is terrible.
I
It's
avoided
awful.
it.
It's
I
boring as
avoided
hell.
It was my worst when it came out. The first one. I avoided it because I'm like, no.
I
Steven.
like the first one.
No. No.
The second one sucks.
I
It's
thought it was
boring
gonna be
as hell.
fun. I thought it was gonna be fun. And
Randomly, they have Andrea Bargnani shooting hoops in one scene because they like go to a Knicks game, and I'm like, oh, so this was like shot 2.5 years ago. Okay, cool. The CGI the CGI of Turtles is pretty good, but like, it's just it's like a live action version of the cartoon, but like the worst episode of the cartoon, so it's not very good at all. The plot makes no goddamn sense. Things just happen on screen because they have to have shit happen. They have to throw in all these things. The best part is a small Vanilla Ice reference that made me happy. That's it.
let's make.
You would think at least that really cool. I at least want an action sequence because I saw a movie because they had a goddamn tank in the river shooting some Ninja Turtles, and I was like, I'm in. That's the end of that scene. That scene's like 2 minutes long. It's not even that impressive.
Let's
And the rest of the
make
movie's boring as hell.
Let's also make Casey Jones a jokester and not like a brooding.
I didn't even care about that.
Like he's supposed to be brooding.
That was a
He's the cool brooding guy. And
Casey
all I
Jones
hear
was
is that
at
he's a
least
joke.
more entertaining than watching the rest of that film. Like for me, I walked out like, oh, I like Casey Jones in that movie, I guess, compared to everything else I saw in the movie. It was pretty terrible. Don't watch it.
All right, so what's
But
your
by
worst?
far, the worst movie I've seen this year is the going on three-time contender, the Divergent series,
Hey!
Allegiant, is
Really?
atrocious. It is boring as hell. I wanted to leave like 10 times in that movie. And at least like when you watch a movie like Pixels, at least stuff happens. And you're like, oh, this is kind of entertaining. By far, the best part of Allegiant is the like 75 combined seconds of where we get to see Theo James kick some ass. Because at least it's kind of well choreographed. And then sometimes he takes off his shirt and you're like, damn, that's really impressive.
I don't remember.
And,
Did you like the first one?
Shailene Woodley's cute. What?
Did you like the first one?
No.
Okay. I can't remember if you liked the first one.
I have not liked a single one of these damn things, but I keep going seeing them because they're fucking movie pass.
I have not
went and
seen-
saw this.
I haven't seen it either.
I have
wouldn't
not
saw
seen a
this
single
shit.
one of these either. At most, I
Jeff
reviewed the
Daniels-
trailer for the first one, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Jeff Daniels is in this movie, and he legit. I'm not even sure if he was even on set at the same time as Shailene Woodley was, because they have scenes together. He just like standing in front of a green screen. He's just like, "I'm the villain, Shailene, come with me." And I was like, "What the fuck is even going on right now?"
So wait, are they in the same room?
Maybe, but they could have easily like fucking superimposed it like they did with Fantastic Four, where like Miles
Okay,
Teller was
so-
on set by himself.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like Wrath of Khan where the villain's on a monitor and that's
Oh,
the only
no.
way the two characters see each other.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
there is a
they're
reason
in the
Miles has been telling the directors and the writers to kill him off since part one. He's asking for mercy. They have said
Oh
no.
By far, the best part of this movie is Miles Teller. And one of my friends saw Resurgence because like his family was watching it. And he didn't hate it, which blows my
You
mind.
mean Allegiance?
But no, the second one. And he
okay.
told me something that at least kind of saved Allegiant for me. If you watch these movies from the viewpoint of Miles Teller and just root for whatever side he goes on, because that guy is the most disloyal man in cinema history.
But they
He just
keep trusting
flip-flops
him.
from each side.
But they keep
Yeah,
trusting him.
They're always like, he's back. He's on our side. Fuck no,
Okay,
he's not.
so
He
from-
switches 10 minutes later.
So from what I've heard of this movie is this dude has screwed them over like 6 times in the franchise.
Yeah.
But every time he shows up, they put 100% trust in him. So this time he's going to be
Yeah.
the good guy. But every time he fucks them over and gives them to the bad guys. But then he's like, maybe this time it's different, like that, because I think it's a double toasted or somebody reviewed it and they started making fun of it. Like they keep trusting him, and it's just I don't know.
And the only entertaining thing is just rooting for Miles Teller because he is like, he just flip flops every 15 minutes, and you're like, yeah, let's go Shailene Woodley's group, and then he flip flops. You're like,
There is a
okay,
reason
let's
that-
root against Shailene Woodley.
There
If
is
you're
a
just trying to
reason.
root for Shailene Woodley, it is boring as balls.
There is a
It's
reason though that
fucking
this
terrible.
thing's budget was cut in half for the last one.
Oh yeah, and
'Cause
they're
nobody
like,
watched
I'm
it.
like, there's only one more, and I'm like, well, I've watched 75% of these.
Why not?
Like,
I only know one
I
person
know
that
I'm
likes
gonna
this
see
movie.
the last one if it gets
My
made.
brother-
I'm not gonna enjoy it.
My brother likes
Like
this
they've
movie.
gotten worse by far. The best one's the first one, just because it has a shitty pop music, and the pop music is at least more enjoyable than the actual dialogue.
All right, so for some reason my brother likes this movie. He likes it because of Shailene Woodley. He likes her, so he watches her.
Go watch the like White Girl in the Blizzard or whatever, where she gets naked.
No,
At
but
least
like
watch that.
he likes her. I don't know.
Like
He likes her, whatever.
Spectacular
Wow,
Now.
that's very classy right there.
No, that's what it's called. It's called White. Is it? It's called what's it
White
called?
something in the Blizzard.
Yeah, it's
I'm not
called
sure.
I
what
know,
this-
but very classy. Like, just go see the movie where she gets naked. That's
She's naked
that's
in
where
that
I came.
movie.
Well,
Wait a
if you're
minute.
watching it just because you like Shailene Woodley, at least
Well,
I was assuming it
I
was
don't-
for
I don't know if
you like her for talent. Then
I
go watch
didn't-
Spectacular
I
Now.
didn't know she got naked in any movie.
No, I would rather watch a season of The Secret Life of the American Teenager if you're gonna watch
that
something for
show-
Shailene Woodley.
It's not like putting nails
It's
in your
terrible.
eyes. I'm just saying.
I
It's-
watched it. It's not good.
It's not. It's not. But there's worse things that you could go through. All right, Alexander. We know what your number one is. Please just give us your honorable mention if you have any, and just say it.
I don't have an honorable mention. I can say there are two movies that are actually fighting for the worst I've seen this year.
Okay.
One of them I think you already know what it is.
Yes, I do.
And then the other one is Alice Through the Looking Glass.
Oh yes. I'm shocked that movie is worse than the first one. Shocked.
It is.
So shocked.
I mean, at the very least, one aspect that's better is that it's brighter.
Yay.
And has more color to it, but even then, that can't save it.
So,
but
this was Tim Burton or no, right? Not Tim
no.
Burton?
No,
Okay.
This was
James
James.
Bobbitt.
Yeah,
But it's
Bobbin?
very heavily influenced by Burton.
Oh, this is the Muppets guy. Okay, the Muppets fucker.
yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, like it's a tie between that and Batman versus Superman. I think I might like for worst, I'll go with Batman versus Superman just because with Alice Through the Looking Glass, you look at it and go, well, it couldn't have gone any other way. There was no way it was going to be good. Batman vs. Superman was a movie that everyone, like, by all means, should have been good. First time Batman and Superman have been together on the big screen, and you fuck that up to no end. Like, you have to wait almost 2 hours to see Batman and Superman actually fight each other. They don't appear on screen together that often to begin with, and the fight is so slow and so hollow.
I like the
no
fight.
reason.
I like the style of the fighting. The fact that we don't know why they're fighting, the fact that we don't know why they stopped fighting, and the fact that literally one word, one sentence would have stopped this fight. One sentence.
Yeah, the fight, hell, the whole fight could have been avoided if Batman and Superman just had a conversation, but no. And I'll tell you why the fight doesn't work for me outside of it being pointless. Because I recently watched it before we started recording. Not the movie as a whole, but just that fight scene. It's like a lot of throw across a building. Batman tries to get up slowly. Like it's not fast paced.
But I think
when you watch the final battle in Civil War, it's like boom, 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 boom.
I will defend.
Didn't you also
I will
hate
defend
the last battle in
I
Man
will-
of Steel though, which was like super fast
Yeah,
paced?
yeah. I will defend that. I think that's just how Superman has to fight because he's that kind of person. So his hitting is always going to be boom, boom, boom. So that's the only thing I will defend. But yeah, like it was. I can't. This is the thing. I can't. Maybe you're in the same boat, Alexander. I can't determine if it's just the sheer disappointment why this movie's in my top 3 worst movies of the year, or it's just a bad movie. But my sheer disappointment might be skewing it to a bad movie because, like, you don't get it. Like, I love Batman. I really like Superman. And then someone has read the comics. I'm like, so I can't tell. So I'm wondering if it's for you, if it's a bad movie or if it's just like that disappointment is just hitting you so hard that you put it on there.
Well, here's what I'll say. I will give the Ultimate Edition a shot just because I am curious enough. I've heard from people that it's probably not going to change my mind, but I am curious enough about the changes.
I heard that paces stuff's better.
Well,
so.
if it's in contention for at least for movie of the year, probably not, because I assume that most of your issues are with the way the characters are portrayed.
Yeah,
That's most of your
but
issues.
I also but even then, I would still like to give it a shot, just see what they changed. And people have actually been asking me to review it, so I'm like, wow, people really demand for that. Okay.
I mean, I'd be curious to see how, because it can't be worse. I'm curious. I will watch your review just because I am curious to see how much it improves for you.
Well, the thing is, I'm not seeing it until the Blu-ray comes out when it's available to rent because I'm not paying
Yeah,
$20
it's
for it.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm waiting. I mean, it's on demand
But
for rental, but I don't know if I want.
but I mean,
Is it?
like, yeah, the way the characters are portrayed. Ben Affleck as Batman, I do think he's the best looking Batman. Although the more I think about it, the more Batman murders people just really, really bothers me.
That
Yeah?
doesn't bother me because Batman murdered the Joker and
Tim Burton's Batman.
In Tim
No,
Burton.
yeah, he did, but it's also
Yeah, but
in the comics he murdered the Joker in The Killing Joke or in
I don't
Batman
know.
Returns. He snaps the Joker's neck. So
Okay.
Oh,
I mean,
he got
Uh,
that one from Soups.
the Dark.
yeah, but like he did that because
Oh,
the Joker just murdered like 1,000 like a group of like
right.
1,000 people, and then I don't know. It's
The Dark Knight Returns.
I think
Is
he
it?
murders him in there. I can't remember.
Okay. Well, and then also, speaking of Superman, like this really is, I think, the worst interpretation of Superman in the theater because he's so
I
dour.
agree.
Henry Cavill, I know you like him, Dylan, but I think he's shitty in this movie. He is a terrible Superman. He has no personality to this guy. And okay, I mentioned this before.
You know what? You know what he should have been. He should have been more like him, like Henry Cavill and the Man from
Man
Man
Uncle.
from Uncle.
Like that's like fun Superman. Like he's just so upset. He's emo Superman. He's Superman
He's
like in
he's emo or he's an asshole.
no he's both. I mean he's very.
When's he an asshole?
I mean he's not an asshole. But he's emo. He's emo.
Well,
as
well,
fuck.
stopping crashing Batman's Batmobile when he's chasing the bad guys.
That do they
It
explain
makes a lot
that?
more
He
sense.
let the
in
bad
Ultimate
guys
Cut.
go
Okay,
away.
So
There-
there's a couple of things I
In
heard make
the
sense.
theatrical cut, I understand. If in the ultimate cut, it makes 100 times more
I
sense.
heard they
why he does
explain that. I heard they explain how
They
the
explain
Gotham
it.
thing. I
And
heard they
I was like,
explain the
oh,
Africa
okay.
thing. There's several things
And
that
the
get
Africa makes a lot
explained.
more sense.
So I think I would end up
They
liking
explained
the
the
movie.
trial a lot better.
I think I would end up
Like
liking
there's
the
an
movie more.
entire very important subplot that's just dropped from the theatrical cut that like explains
who gets
parts of
blamed for
Lex's
that?
plans.
Who gets blamed
Damn,
for
What?
can I get a word in? I'm still
that?
I'm still trying to get my thoughts straight.
All right.
But I mean, just basing it off the theatrical cut, Henry Cavill is the worst Superman we've had. No personality at all. And I mentioned this before maybe on this show once, but I've shared this on Facebook. There's an article on birthmoviesdeath.com called Superman and the Damage Done, which basically it's basically an analysis of why this new Superman doesn't work and why it's just so almost an insulting portrayal, especially when Captain America works wonders in the movies, and is basically the Superman we deserve.
All right.
That's it. I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I will be checking out the theatrical cut, and if you do end up doing a review on it, I do want to see. I think what's gonna end up happening is I'm gonna like the movie. I'm actually gonna think the movie's okay. Like I'm actually gonna. I think it'll fall more for me in line with one of the worst Marvel movies, just because my problems with the movie aren't the way that Superman's portrayed or Batman's portrayed. It's the fact that the pacing was all over the place and the editing was done poorly. They don't explain Africa. They don't explain why Superman is chasing somebody in Gotham. The Martha thing is not explained from what I hear, so that will still piss me off to no end. Like, do they explain that at all, Dylan? The Martha thing?
Well, I mean, not as. I mean, it's the same explanation
No,
as
then
in the
I'm good.
actual
Yeah, so
theatrical cut. But apparently, like, I remember. I guess if you watch it with subtitles on it, I read it on like r/EC Cinematic that what he's trying to say is he's trying to say save Martha Kent because Batman doesn't see him as a human. He's gonna kill him. So he says save my mom. He's just still gonna stab him in the face. He's like whatever. But he says save Martha and because he's like still,
but Batman,
like, horrid by
Batman
her
doesn't
death,
know
that,
who
like,
Martha
he
Kent
goes
is.
like what?
That's my problem, is he doesn't know who she is. So what was the name? The name doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was just a last ditch
I guess
effort.
so.
Like he's gonna die. You might as well throw one more Hail Mary in there, and then
Alright.
I do agree the
Yeah.
aftermath of him being like, "Wait, we're best friends now." It seems a little off-putting, but I was like, "Oh,
That was like a Step
like-
Brothers
like,
moment right
Yeah.
there.
nobody's named Martha now.
Yeah, that's true. But
Nobody's named like
That's
I don't know a single Martha. Actually, I know
Martha
one.
Stewart?
I've met one Martha.
all right. Well, I'm curious to see your review. I mean,
No,
your
Nick.
thoughts on it, Alexander. If when me and Dylan do the podcast again, I'll let him know once I see it what I think of it. But pretty much that brings us it. There's no Blu-rays to talk about this week, right? So
Nothing worth mentioning.
All right, so we'll bring that to the end of the show. That was our best and worst movies of the year so far. Alexander, this is your final show as a current host,
Regular host.
regular host. So we'll bring you back whenever big news happens, and you'll come up for probably the Oscars or maybe best of the year.
Best of the year. Yeah.
So pimp out your podcast that you do weekly and your show and all that other good stuff.
Yeah, so again, my YouTube channel is The Real Mr. Robinson. I do movie reviews, new and old. The older movie reviews tend to go up every Wednesday. I just reviewed Ghostbusters, and this week it's going to be Ghostbusters 2. I do my own podcast, the Alexander Robinson Movie News Show, which goes up every Sunday morning or afternoon. It's kind of like this show where I just go over like news of the week, except it's just me doing it. And I have a Let's Play of Pokemon Fire Red underway because I wanted to do a Nintendo game for a while. And that pretty much does it. You can find me on Facebook at the real Mr. Robinson, Twitter at @real_Mr_Robinson, Instagram at the Real Mr. Robinson. You can go over to patreon.com/therealmrrobinson, riff.tv. Basically, on my YouTube channel, I have links to all my social media accounts and my website. Steve, Dylan, it's been really great being a regular host here, and
we'll still chat and stuff. And like I said,
yeah, definitely, yeah.
You'll be back whenever we do big things.
When I'm available.
Dylan, what have you been? Do you have anything you want to promote? Your Twitter. Your shitty ass Durant move. I don't know.
You can follow me on Twitter at Dylan Mickanen, DYLANMICKANEN, and follow me on YouTube at youtube.com/DevilCowProdigy. I'm still writing some stuff. Hopefully, I'll go up in the coming weeks. Should be exciting. I just want to thank Alex for all the hard work and all the time he's put in over the last 3 years we've been doing this.
Like 2 years, yeah, 2.5, about 3 years, yeah.
2.5, 3 years. It's oh yeah, because one of our first shows was the end of 2013, so about 2.5 years. It's been fun chatting with you and disagreeing on DC movies every week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So pretty much, Alexander. I mean, we've been doing this for a long time, talking movies. You'll be back. I'll be watching your reviews, see your things. I'll comment more often now.
I mean, I'll still try to write for the site as much as I can. But it's just for the podcast here, I won't be able to be a host.
Yeah, that makes sense. For me, I got back into the wrestling thing last week. Did a show called What We Learned, which is just what we learned on the show. It's gonna be interesting to see how the second one goes because usually wrestling doesn't really show us anything. Still top 10s whenever I get a chance. Podcast, this will go up. I mean, you guys know the deal. Pretty much check us out. We'll be back. I'm not sure. Me and Dylan will be back next week. We're going to try to reformat things, maybe do some things, make it a little bit different. Since it's going to be mostly a two-man show now. But pretty much we'll be back next week. And happy 4th of July. And I'm about to head off to a barbecue. See ya.
America. Fuck yeah.
All right, guys.
Those are my parting words.
See you guys.